Okay, so hello guys, uh, Directive and all. There are there are very particular students initiates that I intend to bring into the Directive soon. They're kind of anxious to get involved. However, as I'm sure you might notice, being the only members of the Directive as it stands, we don't have a whole hell of a lot of activity happening yet, and it's honestly somewhat embarrassing that we haven't picked up. I mean, I'm moving a million miles an hour here, and you guys are fucking totally absent. But, I'm not bitching at you. We're gonna get there. We're gonna make things happen. And, I want to get these students on board because they're enthusiastic people. I don't want to miss the opportunity to get them started here, especially with, I've trained them a little bit, but I want to get them, into a measurable training protocol where they're in a routine format. This video here will serve, I suppose, as a kind of like a platform for the courses videos, which what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a video to cover the basics of each course. As some of the courses, for example, the Kundalini course obviously is going to be mine, and that will be something that I'll train exclusively. Sword dancing, Kay's pretty good with that. I mean, so to speak, she has the potential. She hasn't practiced it a lot, but when she did practice, she showed the potential. So somebody else might be able to take up the sword dancing. The Tai Chi is very similar. Qigong is something we have somebody to cover. There's a few other members of the directive actually that haven't joined in with the page yet that have been doing their own thing, doing their own training, and people that I don't think any of you guys have actually met yet, but people that I trained with, a couple of them from the Red Cross, and others from way back when, others from portions of my own personal progression where I was actually separated from the foundation on my own for a while. So there are other members of the directive that are well equipped to jump in and get started, but they're doing something. They're doing their own thing right now, their own personal thing. So I want to start off with synchronicity because that's where it begins. That's how it all began. I realize though that most people don't really have much of an attention span. They don't have the capacity to retain attention for long enough to really watch these videos, and most of them don't even give it a shot. Some of them, probably, and I'm talking about people. I'm not just talking about the members, man. I'm not talking about initiates. I'm talking about you guys, even members of the foundation who will put these videos on and then pause them and leave them sitting there for a week at a time because you don't have the attention for it. Now, I have a maximum of 40 minutes to speak here. Do any of you realize if you cannot maintain attention for 40 minutes, how extremely far below the acceptable average that is? I mean, that's saying something. We are slipping as a global community. We're losing our fucking minds. Did we gotta do something here, man? You guys got this is detrimental. I'm. It's like I'm thinking you guys are kind of like maybe either in a kind of a shock, or perhaps you are in the frog in boiling water kind of scenario where you don't really realize how hot it's actually become. But we're in bad shape. We're in bad shape. Anyways, synchronicity. Um, I'm gonna try and break it down as I was saying about the attention span. I'm gonna try and break these videos into clips if I can, so that they're shorter, more compact, and more easily retainable. This one It'll be a little different. I'm gonna kind of drag off on tangents with this one if I'm able, because well, as I said, this is gonna be kind of the overall introductory video to the course's training program. But this one's for Randy, by the way, specifically. Um, Synchronicity, I'll try to break into, I'm thinking, awareness, which is going to fall more into the perspective of sensitivity, or I'm not really sure what to call it. It might even fall into the tactile imaging range. I hadn't really thought about that yet, but for those of you who trained with me and those of you who are more aware of synchronicity, you'll know that the awareness aspect is going to involve, learning how to view halos and energies, and how to use your actual eyes to see transactions of these energies in play. And that's not particularly useful for people who are not operative spotters. If you're an operative spotter and you're working with other people, especially if you're working with groups of people, the ability to see where energy is going, that's very helpful. When you're playing poker, it's very, very, very helpful. But it's kind of cheating, I guess you could say. But I mean, it's a natural faculty. It's not cheating. It's cheating. It's probably cheating. But fuck them. They don't need the money anyway. But the awareness aspect is most useful in the case that it makes you aware that this is real, that this is happening, that you can actually put eyes on it, you can see it happening. And that's what got me, chapter 3, Celestine Prophecy. I took a look at that halo around my hand, I saw that stream of energy, and holy shit, I was hooked for life. And here we are, what, 20, I guess it's maybe 17, no, 15. I don't know how many years later it is for you guys. It's been roundabouts 30, 30 some, 33 years for me. But then again, I have repeated several years and also lived a little bit of extra time on the side. So I guess it doesn't really matter, you know. We are where we are. But here we are so far later, and I'm still hooked on that because of chapter 3. So that would be one aspect, the awareness aspect. Control dramas, obviously, is something that we're going to have to cover in its own topic, or its own, as its own item of inquiry. Um, Cues, reading cues, spot casting. It's tough to say whether or not we can place spot casting into this, because it does play into it, but at the same time, it's its own thing, and it is like not only its own object of inference, but it's a whole new world. And what I've discovered about this, like, I could just toss the rest aside and just dive into spot casting for the rest of my life and be completely satiated in and of that. So spot casting will have to get to much later, because I'm not confident in my ability to teach you. I don't want to tell you that these things are possible. The things that I've been doing, I don't really want to, tell you that it's possible, then give you pointers on how to do it, have you go out there and, have failures and think that I'm lying to you, because I'm not. And what you can do with this is astounding. I'm beginning to figure out what Ariel was able to do, and when I get to her level, or the level she was at that point, then I'll be able to walk up to you guys and show you firsthand that you are, in fact, you have superpowers. You do have superpowers. But this really sucks. This really sucks that my shit's been disabled. I gotta watch these down here at the bottom of the screen. I gotta get texts that are, the sound of it is obnoxious. Um, Anyways, to get to the gist of it, Synchronicity is a term coined by Carl Jung in reference to seemingly coincidental incidences that, you know, they seem to be meaningful coincidences. Like, for example, when you think about somebody you haven't seen or heard from in years and they just happen to call you, almost immediately afterwards, or your intuition tells you something's going to happen and then it happens. And these could fall into various different realms of phenomenon. It could be considered like a psychic phenomenon, but I mean, everything is psychic, everything. So I guess psychic itself, the term itself, and the practice of psychic practices has gotten such a stigma. Divination. There we go. That's a good one. That had fallen divination. But synchronicity is basically it's being cued by the world, being led by the world, and you learn how to read these cues that are given to you, these signs and instances that are given to you by the world around you, and sometimes they're given to you by spotters. And I think you might be surprised how many times there is actually a spotter out there cueing you who knows you're a spotter, but you're not quite as far along as they are, and you don't know that they know. It's this game can get really fun if you're playing it on the higher levels. Sometimes spotters are queuing each other, and you don't even know what's happening. But the queuing would have to fall into another realm as well. Spot casting is going to have to be its own thing, but like I said, I want to master that, or at least get to a point where I've mastered my ability to explain it properly before I start to try and teach it. In any case, a consideration you could make for synchronicity is when you do have an intuition about something, like if you do think about somebody who you haven't heard from in years, out of nowhere for no reason, or something that really has nothing to do with them might remind you of them, or maybe you see something that does have to do with them that you don't see often, something that like an object, or hear a song or whatever, something reminds you of someone that it isn't something that happens often, and suddenly you have that remembrance of a certain person or a certain instance. Pursue that. You know, if you're sitting like on a bus or in a restaurant or whatever in a place, and somebody happens to glance at you just at the you happen to just glance and catch each other's eye, speak to that person. They have something for you. It These connections are happening all the time. It's just that people have become too shy to pursue them. And if you think about somebody or something that it's been a while, and suddenly they contact you out of the blue, treat that very seriously. Keep put into consideration, examine it, investigate it, take into consideration what might be happening behind that, where that might lead, and follow that lead. Trust in it, because that is in fact you stepping ahead and building a path for yourself. And this is what spotting is about ultimately. The spotting itself is a two-part thing. One, it's being able to build the invisible, or what we've called the wayless road, a path that's set up for you to follow to achieve your directives. You put forth an intention, what you want to achieve, what you want to experience, where a place you're hoping to get to, something you're hoping to acquire, and then there's an energy of yourself that goes forth, and it produces the opportunities that are required to get there, but you have to be able to follow it. And you have to have faith in yourself and follow and actually follow that lead. So, there's literature that you can look into that can get more specific into this. I'm having trouble coming up with good examples of it right now, but that would be the first. Celestine Prophecy is the one you're going to look for. That's the basics. Read that book, you'll know all you need to know. And as you're reading the book, things are going to happen that will give you a little bit of hands-on practice so that you get a feel for it. You know how it works, and you're going to intuitively learn how to do it yourself, and it will become commonplace for you. And the thing of it is that the more you do it, the more it will happen. The more that you engage the world, the more it will engage you. The more that you listen to the world, the more it's going to speak until you catch a drift, as it were, and it keeps happening and happening and happening until it just doesn't stop anymore. You're always in this state of synchronicity, and it's very uplifting and boosting, and it gives you a lot of energy because you build energy as you move along. With each passing synchronistic occurrence, you're gaining boosts of energy, and you're being, as I've said before, rewarded for engaging it. It's like a challenge that's being issued to you. Not only are you provided the energy you require to undergo this challenge and to take on the obstacles that are pressed against you, but for overcoming those obstacles, you are rewarded with more energy than you actually require. And you can build that energy and use it. And so that's the first part of spotting, is following the wayless road. Being on that path, and finding your destiny, in fact, learning to create your own destiny. The second part of spotting, of course, is teaching somebody else to do this. And traditionally, we've always had a one-on-one kind of state. It's always been a one-on-one thing, like Jedi. A Jedi takes on one apprentice and trains them. It's the same, and it's extremely likely that that's where the whole idea even came from with Star Wars, is from this actual reality, which is it is an ever-present reality. It's always happening to everybody. It's the way life works. We've forgotten to do this. We've forgotten how to do this. We've forgotten to practice this, and it's not even just a matter of amnesia. It's a matter of we've been deliberately distracted from it. It's been stolen. Okay, it's been stolen from us. This practice, this tradition, this understanding has been stolen from us by people who know that we have this ability, we have this power, and we can accomplish great things with it. And any single person, anybody, can go ahead and achieve almost anything they want to. And there are people who want to hoard it. There are people who want to hoard everything, and there are people who want to hoard everything, and they're working to distract you and to program you and to stop you from achieving this, or pursuing this rather, and achieving what you want to achieve through it. And that's what we're working against, essentially. Not necessarily the people, but their motives, their intentions. We don't want to eliminate these people. Of course, we're not gonna go to town on killing anybody, but we want to alter their perspective so that they will. We want to alter their perspective so that they will stop doing this. We want to end the battle, which there is indeed a battle. If anybody's paying attention to, like, take a look at what happens with celebrities when young kids are brought up in Hollywood or what have you, and they're you know set up for stardom, and then they reach a certain age, and just all of a sudden they turn into these like kind of evil, seemingly evil kind of demon sort of people, and they all tell the same story. They all do the same thing. It's a repetitive, like the "oops, I did it again," or "look what you made me do." And the one thing you want to look for in the music videos, there's always going to be a car wreck. The first video that'll pop up with these musicians, celebrities, is going to be a car wreck or a motorcycle accident. Some sort of a traffic accident seems to be the symbol behind it, that's going to show that these people have, something's happened that has transformed them. And they all do speak, they all do say the same thing, like they sign their soul over, this is happening, is something real is happening there. There is a kind of a war transpiring between what we call good and evil, and we are not involved in that. Status is neutral. We are the neutral ground. Our purpose is to end that conflict, because these two sides, it could very well be, some god figure and some devil figure. Who knows? Could be. I doubt it, because I have personal experience that speaks against it, and my beliefs on the matter go directly against the common beliefs on the matter. And I'd really love to make a video talking about that. In fact, I think I probably will, but that's going to have to be exclusive just for certain people, because it's something that I can't talk about to everyone. It would totally blow everything we're trying to do, because some people have such firm beliefs and are so hardwired that if I told them what I actually believe is happening, fuck, not only would they ditch us, but they go to town on trying to ruin us. Let me tell you that much. Anyways, synchronicity is all about following the cues that the world gives you, seeing the invisible path, knowing how to follow your own intuition. And there's literature you can get into on that. You can look into Carl Jung's literature. And as I said, the Celestine prophecy would be perfect. That's all you need to get started and to get going. So look into that. I'll make another video immediately following this one, speaking to control dramas and how the exchange of energy plays into this, and then we'll take it from there. But I guess this video is just meant to be an introductory video, explaining spotting in and of itself. The tradition is learning to communicate with the world, having a real, relationship, and what would you call it, an intimate relationship with the world and with the actual real God figure, which is, as I've already stated, it is the power of pure creation. It is what you are. And we are all a part of it. And again, and I have that's another part of my own personal theory that I probably don't, I'm reluctant to share with people. But whatever the case may be, we are in fact all a part of this universal entity, and there is an illusion of separation between us and it that is not real. And anyone can just kind of snap to, wake up, and realize that it's there. It's everywhere. It's in everything. It's everywhere you go, and it's always speaking to you, and you can communicate with it. You can, in fact, befriend it, and you can ask it directly. You can get answers directly from it. You can get directions directly from it. You can communicate with the world intimately, and that's what spotters do. And there's so many, different practices that different sorts of spotters, specialize in. My spotter specialized in Kundalini. She taught me that. And she specialized in synchronicity, obviously, as well. But the two kind of play hand in hand, because the Kundalini is essentially a method by which to prep your body for the exponential abundance of energy that you will acquire through synchronicity, and that you will require to create synchronicities. So that's that. not sure what else to say. I'll make another video about control dramas and energy exchanges, and I'll make another video about queuing, and that should pretty much cover the basics of synchronicity for you. But this one video I wanted to be about the heritage, our sacred heritage, which is our relationship to nature and to existence itself, and that that's what being a spotter is. It's learning to be connected to the world and to everyone else, and to pass that along to ensure that it survives. As I said, traditionally we trained people one on one, but we no longer have time for that, and the initiative has to move fast. We have to hit hard. So it's now become, a matter of us developing these training programs wherein we can train many students at a time. I myself am training many people at a time right now. I'm attempting to train all of you guys, whomever watches the videos. Not all of you are watching the videos, not all of you are keeping up, and I really wish you would. But of course, if you don't see this, then you wouldn't know that I had said that. So I suppose what I can say to anyone who does watch this is promote it to the others. Motivate each other. Let's get each other involved here. Because on one hand, this is fun. We can get, something really fun happening, build our community, get it going, and have a lot of fun here. On the other hand, we need to do this. I mean, believe what I've told you or not, if we don't do this, you're going to find out the really, really hard way that I was telling you the truth. This needs to get done, or we're in big fucking trouble. So, I love you guys. Of course, as always, thank you for the time you've given me here. Kila Salai, Tervione Siari, Nama fucking stay. I will see you very shortly.